Thank you for having me. It's nice to be here with you early risers. I don't know how you do this every week. I've been stressed for weeks about getting up this early. So I liked your little trivia game. Here's a true false. One in every 50 children have autism. It's true. And A Step Ahead in Pierce County is a nonprofit in town that helps identify those children very early, before the age of 3. We don't diagnose, but we help parents get to the services they need for their children. Our vision is to build a community which welcomes and includes children of all abilities and recognizes the unique gifts every child possesses. We truly believe that children, or all adults, all individuals, have a wide range of gifts. We don't all have to be intellectual giants or have tremendous physical prowess to bring something to the table to our community. Our mission then is to support families of infants and toddlers with special needs by enhancing their development and relationships both at home and in their community. So we really help families work with their children and help them maximize their potential. Who we serve, we work with children up to the age of 36 months who have a developmental delay. We primarily work in these school districts: Puyallup, Bethel, Franklin, Pierce, Clover Park, Tacoma, and Boarding. We serve a wide variety of special needs. I think the general public often doesn't really understand what that incorporates, what that encompasses, the term special needs. So it really is wide-ranging. Down syndrome, lots of other genetic conditions. You think of all the chromosomes people have in their bodies. There's amazing the little variations in the chromosome makeup and what that can do to a child's development. Cerebral palsy, which is caused by birth trauma. Medically fragile, we're really fortunate to have Mary Bridge and TG in town and St. Joe's that are able to rescue essentially very sick children, premature children. Babies are being saved at 22 weeks gestation now, when they're really supposed to be in the womb for 40 weeks. So a lot of those kids have developmental issues. Autism, as I mentioned. Many of our children have language delays. We have a strong program with children in foster care, and then deafblind, and really 50% of the children don't have a diagnosis. We don't know why they're behind. So the services we provide for these children include early childhood specialists, special educators, occupational therapists, physical therapists, speech therapists, infant mental health, which I'll talk about in a bit. And other services include play groups. These children are under the age of 3, so their early kind of group experiences are pretty limited in the community. So we offer play groups to help them learn some language skills and social skills. We do lots of field trips. Many of our families have kids that are really difficult to get out and incorporate into the community. They either have behaviors that are challenging, they have physical conditions that are challenging, they have financial issues due to their children's developmental delays that are challenging. So we like to provide the support and the opportunity to access these types of environments that kids go. And we have a strong affiliation with the Y right now, the Melcorn Y and Puyallup. We do a play group there pretty regularly, and this picture is one of those groups. We just got done doing an egg hunt last week there. And then we try and do some family parties. Again, so many of these families have limited social experiences for themselves. If you have a child that's sick at home and you're unable to get out very frequently, we can provide more of a kind of safe, sterile environment so that families can get out. So we do, we've done lots of parties in October, which is a little Halloween-y type of party, and a winter party, which right now we've been doing at the Children's Museum. So what exactly do we do? It's a little hard to describe when this is not an area that you're familiar with. But essentially, we help families build an education plan for their child, and they determine what they want their child to work on. So we typically see families that want their kids to meet their developmental milestones, so walking is certainly one of them. And this little boy is able to walk with the help of a walker. Talking, that's the big one. The walk and the talk, those are the two big ones. But we really look at communication. So talking is certainly one of those things, but we look at, does the child give eye contact? Is the child gesturing? Can the child do some simple sign language to communicate what they want? Eating's also a big one. Children that have feeding tubes from birth are not used to having food in their mouth. They may be averse to having food in their mouth, so we have to work with those types of issues. Some kids just don't like textures in their mouths. Kids on the autism spectrum often are very limited in the types of foods that they eat, so we work with that as well. Literacy, we have a strong focus on bringing books into the family's home. Right now we have a project we're calling Story Alive. It's been very fun. It's really an interactive way to bring story time to children. And we've been collaborating with the Tacoma School of the Arts as well. And they've done, I don't know if you're all familiar with the book, Polar Bear, What Do You Hear? They actually made costumes and dressed up like the animals, and one of the students made a song to go along with the book. And so it was very interactive, and then Build-A-Bear Foundation has actually given us funds to do a book giveaway, so all the families went home with a copy of the book. Play. Children learn about their world through play, so it's very important that we find ways for children to access play. And this is a pretty dramatic picture of that, but this little boy had a seizure disorder that really limited his ability to move and explore his environment. So in this particular case, the teacher created this little room for him that whenever he made a movement, whether it was accidental or intentional, he got some type of either tactile response or auditory or visual response. Behavior, we do more and more with behavior. Again, if we look at children on the autism spectrum, children that have been traumatized and are in foster care, you can have some pretty significant behaviors at the age of 2. This little boy was diagnosed with autism after this picture, but we took him to the zoo and he couldn't handle it. All the other kids were having fun, but he was tantruming. It was just way too overstimulating for him. And so we had to work with the parents in finding ways to have that child adjust to new environments and new situations. Probably the most important thing we do is support that parent-child relationship. See, Amy's on our board. She's a past parent. She's nodding. Thanks, Amy. So if you have a child that isn't responding, again, if you have a child on the autism spectrum as an example, or even a kid with a visual impairment, they're not giving you that feedback. They're not smiling when you're smiling. They're not looking at you. And that's really hard to parent because that just goes against kind of the norm. So we really work with the parent in making sure the parent notices the child's strengths, that they're able to build on those strengths, that any challenges they're having during the day, we're giving them some strategies so that we really increase that bond. Another program we have is called Boost, and we have been working, really targeting children in foster care for about the past 8 years. And the reason for that is that children in foster care really have some major challenges. They're more likely to be in special education or have lower academic achievement later in life. They're more likely to have mental health disorders. They're more likely to suffer some substance abuse throughout life, and they're more likely to engage in physical criminal activity. So we created a program called Fostering Care, where we provided home visitation services to children in foster care that were not developmentally delayed but had some significant behavioral issues. So many of these kids were being removed from their foster homes because they were too challenging, and the foster parents just plain didn't know how to deal with the behaviors. So we did that for a number of years and just realized we were just really scratching the surface. There were about 850 children in Pierce County under the age of 5 that were being removed from their homes. And we were serving about 35 of them a year. So we did a big community collaboration, tried to identify what services were in the community and how we could all work together to get more of these kids in service. So right now we've got a program we call Boost, and it's being funded through grants through City of Tacoma, United Way, Boeing Company, and Bamford Foundation. And the idea is to create a single referral line for any child under the age of 5 who's in foster care. And we'll either provide referrals for those children out in the community to some of the children's mental health programs if they're over the age of 3. But this is where that infant mental health piece comes in. We have 3 providers that we work with in our program that are trained and certified in infant mental health, which is really looking at how the parent's mental health impacts the child's mental health. And it works with that parent-child relationship. So if an 18-month-old is suddenly removed from his family, and you think that's right during stranger anxiety and separation anxiety, what does that do to a toddler? You know, they're in a new home, a new caregiver, and it's pretty scary. So we work with the foster parent and the child to help build that relationship. We help improve their developmental skills. They're often, because of their environment, are behind in their development. Certainly try to stabilize their social and emotional health. We've been providing information and training to the court system, to visitation supervisors, transporters, child care providers. So really working with people in the system that work with these kids to give them a deeper understanding of the impact that their early upbringing has brought them. So our overall impact, we served 560 Pierce County children last year. 60 children in foster care were served that wouldn't have otherwise received service. We've provided over 2,300 hours of therapy and 5,600 hours of special education. 88% of the outcomes parents have established for their children were met or made significant progress through our program. 100% of the parents that responded to our survey reported that we helped them increase their knowledge on how to improve their child's development. And 16% of the children did not qualify for special education. So when they turned 3, the school district is responsible for their education. And so 16% of those kids had filled in the gap, so they weren't behind anymore. So these are just some of the comments that we get back from parents. Parents really enjoy what we bring to the table. They enjoy our visits. This program was a highlight of our week. We all learned so much. Our family has greatly benefited from the knowledge and support of the staff at A Step Ahead. And our child learned to concentrate more for longer periods of time and learn to plan, participate in group activities. So all those skills that are necessary to go into school. Cost savings to society through our program, or through early intervention programs in general. The cost, if we started at birth, was $37,000 throughout the course of the child's education, but close to $47,000 if the services did not begin until the age of 6. So significant savings, and that's actually, I think, several years old data, so it's probably larger than that. So we are a nonprofit. We're funded through a contract with Pierce County. It's federal, state, and school district funds. We bill private insurance, but as is not a surprise, it doesn't cover, but really the bare services. So we're always looking for donations. We have a program we call CARES, which is really assisting families to pay for their child's therapies. I think we serve about 20% of our clients are military, and they're on TRICARE, and that's a very generous insurance company. Those families are well taken care of. Medicaid families don't have any copays and deductibles, but it's really our middle income families that get the squeeze. And as you're all aware with healthcare right now, high deductibles, high co-insurances, and copays. And families are really struggling, and we don't want to see them not be able to access the services they need. So we try and build up a scholarship fund so these kids can get the therapies. Boost, as I described, and just equipment and technology is always needing updated. So you're all invited to our auction, which is coming up on Saturday, May 10th at the Star Center. And I have invitations if any of you are interested in coming to that. And also, we're always recruiting for additional boards of directors. Like I said, thanks to Chris is new on our board, and Amy's been with us a couple of years, but we're always looking for business-minded people to join us.